Have you ever opened your fridge or pantry, looked at what you bought earlier in the week, and wondered why some foods disappear instantly while other foods somehow last forever? With grocery prices rising and people trying to make their money last, ingredients that can be used several times become incredibly valuable. They help reduce waste, reduce the number of grocery trips, and make meal planning feel less overwhelming. Understanding which foods naturally stretch across meals can help people feel more in control of their spending without feeling like they're constantly cutting back. Before getting into the 8 foods that stretch your meals the most, feel free to like the video to support the channel and subscribe for more financial content. Alright, let's dive into it. Starting with the foods that expand as they cook. Many foods shrink as they cook, but pasta is one of those ingredients that does the opposite. A small amount turns into a full pot quickly, and that's one of the reasons it stretches across multiple meals. People often cook pasta and find they made way more than they intended, and that's not a bad thing. It becomes a base that pairs with almost anything. Vegetables, sauces, proteins, leftovers, soups, salads, casseroles, and even simple butter and seasoning. Pasta also stores well. Leftovers can go into the fridge and become a whole new meal with just a small addition the next day. Some people turn leftover pasta into cold pasta salads. Others toss it with a different sauce or use it with vegetables or frozen ingredients. Because pasta expands so much when cooked, a single box can support multiple meals without feeling repetitive. It also comes in many varieties: spaghetti, penne, fusilli, macaroni, shells, and more, which naturally keeps meals feeling fresh and different even when the base ingredient stays the same. The interesting part is how pasta reduces the need for additional ingredients. When someone uses pasta, they often need only a small amount of protein or vegetables to create a full meal. That stretching power is what allows pasta to extend food budgets quietly over time, focusing on foods that absorb flavors easily. Rice is one of the most universal foods in the world, and one reason people rely on it so much is because of how well it stretches into multiple meals. Like pasta, rice expands a lot during cooking, which means a small amount goes a long way. But what makes rice even more interesting is that it naturally absorbs whatever flavors are added to it. Leftover vegetables can be added to rice. Leftover meat can be added to rice. Eggs, sauces, beans, frozen ingredients, and seasonings all pair well with rice. Meals that seem too small on their own suddenly look complete when rice is used as a base. Rice also transforms well from one meal to another. Freshly cooked rice works for bowls and stir-fries, but leftover rice becomes perfect for fried rice, soups, burritos, casseroles, stuffed vegetables, or even breakfast dishes. The ability to shift into different styles makes rice one of the most flexible pantry staples available. Its long shelf life also means it stays ready for whenever someone wants to use it. There's no pressure to finish it quickly and no risk of it spoiling. Rice turns small amounts of ingredients into full meals, and that's one of the biggest reasons food budgets stretch further when it's used regularly. Looking at foods that multiply in size. One of the most impressive examples of a food that stretches into multiple meals is dried beans. When cooked, dried beans expand significantly, which means that a single bag can create several days' worth of meals. It's not uncommon for a 1-pound bag of beans to turn into multiple pots of soup, chili, stews, bowls, dips, or salads. What makes beans especially unique is how they adapt to almost any cuisine. They can fit into Latin American dishes, Mediterranean meals, Middle Eastern recipes, Asian-inspired bowls, and countless comfort foods. That flexibility makes it easy to use the same batch of beans across different dishes without feeling repetitive. Another interesting aspect is that cooked beans can be frozen. If someone makes a large batch, they can portion it out and freeze it for later meals. This transforms a simple pot of beans into a meal prep tool that lasts weeks. Because they soak up flavors, beans become whatever the dish needs them to be. They add depth, texture, and substance, which lets people use smaller amounts of other ingredients. Beans naturally stretch meals, and they also stretch budgets without requiring much effort. Highlighting foods that anchor leftovers. Eggs are one of the ultimate foundation foods, not because they stretch in size, but because they stretch the usefulness of everything around them. A small amount of leftover vegetables, rice, potatoes, meats, or sauces can become full meals once eggs are involved. Omelets, scrambles, frittatas, fried rice, breakfast bowls, sandwiches, wraps, and even certain soups all integrate eggs easily. They turn small scraps of food into something complete. Eggs also cook quickly. When someone needs a fast meal, eggs step in without requiring lots of planning. That alone helps stretch groceries because quick meals prevent reliance on convenience foods or takeout. What's interesting is how eggs complement almost any ingredient. They work with bold flavors and simple flavors. They can be savory, they can be slightly sweet, they can be mixed into batter, dough, and desserts. Their versatility gives people more ways to use ingredients they already have, which helps reduce waste. And when waste goes down, the meals someone already purchased stretch further than expected. Considering foods that transform over multiple days. Many meals taste good the first day, but some foods actually become better as time goes on. Lentils fall into that category. Lentils absorb spices and seasonings deeply, which means dishes made with lentils often taste richer after sitting overnight. A single pot of lentils can turn into multiple meals easily. Lentil soups, dals, stews, curries, salads, wraps, tacos, and rice bowls all use the same base ingredient in completely different ways. Lentils also cook faster than many other pantry staples, which means people can prepare them in large batches without spending too much time in the kitchen. And because they hold up well in the fridge and freeze well, it becomes easy to store lentils for future meals. One of the interesting things about lentils is how they pair with vegetables, spices, herbs, and grains. A dish made with lentils one day can transform into something entirely different with just one or two small additions. That makes them ideal for people who want variety without needing new ingredients every day. Lentils stretch both the meal itself and the number of days someone can continue enjoying it. Focusing on foods that hold their shape and stay fresh across meals. Cabbage is one of the most underrated foods when it comes to stretching into multiple meals. It lasts a long time in the fridge, which already makes it stand out compared to many vegetables. But its real power is how many dishes one head of cabbage can support. Cabbage works in stir-fries, soups, salads, bowls, stews, rolls, wraps, sautés, roasted meals, and even breakfast dishes. It blends easily with flavors, and because of its high volume, it increases the size of meals without increasing the cost significantly. Another unique feature is that cabbage doesn't wilt quickly. Many leafy vegetables lose their crispness in a day or two, but cabbage stays firm, which lets it stay usable longer. Since cabbage can be cooked in so many ways, one head can be used across multiple days without feeling repetitive. It can become crunchy one day, soft the next, and pickled or roasted another day. Few vegetables stretch as far as cabbage does, both in volume and in meal variety. Examining foods that work as meal bases, toppings, fillers, or complete dishes. Potatoes are another food that naturally stretches across multiple meals because of how many ways they can be prepared. Mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, fries, wedges, soups, stews, breakfast potatoes, hash browns, baked potatoes. The list is nearly endless. Even a small bag of potatoes can cover several days of meals. They offer substance, texture, and versatility, which allows them to pair well with proteins, vegetables, sauces, and spices. Potatoes also store well, especially when kept in cool, dark places. This makes it easy to buy them in larger quantities without worrying about spoilage. And when potatoes are already available, people tend to use them to stretch smaller portions of other ingredients. A single baked potato can become the base for toppings like beans, cheese, vegetables, eggs, or leftovers of almost any kind. That means one potato can transform into a filling meal with very little extra. Potatoes also adapt across cuisines easily. They fit into comfort foods, street foods, quick meals, and refined recipes. Their flexibility is a big reason why they naturally stretch budgets and extend meal plans. Ending with foods that reduce waste and support quick cooking. Frozen vegetables might not seem like a traditional example of foods that stretch, but they actually play a key role in extending meals. Because they're prepped, chopped, and ready to use, frozen vegetables help people add bulk to meals without extra cost or effort. A scoop of frozen peas, spinach, broccoli, carrots, or mixed vegetables can turn a single meal into two. They help fill out soups, pastas, rice dishes, stir-fries, casseroles, and omelets. When people want a meal to stretch but don't want to use more of the expensive ingredients, frozen vegetables step in to complete the dish. They also don't spoil quickly, which reduces the amount of food people throw away. Since waste is one of the biggest hidden expenses in grocery budgets, frozen vegetables help meals last simply by staying fresh longer. And because frozen vegetables come in resealable bags, people can use exactly what they need and return the rest to the freezer. This allows for precise portion control, which naturally stretches ingredients. Frozen vegetables support almost any meal, making them a silent tool for stretching food across multiple days. So to recap, pasta expands and pairs with everything. Rice absorbs flavors and transforms into new meals. Dried beans multiply and adapt to countless dishes. Eggs turn leftovers into complete meals. Lentils improve over time and work across cuisines. Cabbage stays fresh and increases meal volume. Potatoes take many forms and store well. Frozen vegetables stretch meals and prevent waste. These foods don't just stretch physically, they stretch budgets, schedules, and meal plans, helping ingredients last longer and reducing the need for constant grocery trips. Which food stretches the furthest in your kitchen? Feel free to share it in the comments because your experience might help someone else discover a new meal idea. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of budget-friendly foods, feel free to subscribe for more content like this. All right, see you in the next one.